a fantastic town hall. Matt Taibbi, Catherine Austin Fitts, former board member of Sallie Mae, who came over to the good side, which is our side. Tom Borgers, who's the guy who investigated the subprime home mortgage crisis for the federal government and was featured top story on 60 Minutes. We've all got some very strong things to say about student loan injustice. And I think this is going to be the strongest live stream ever done about student loans. And, Matt is a very smart guy as well. He's written probably a half a dozen full length articles on this topic. So he's no dummy either.
And hi, by the way, I'm Mike Camoin. I'm the filmmaker on Scared to Debt, America's Student Loans Scam. Been working with Alan for the last 3 years on this. And we're going to be showing some clips tomorrow in that town hall that we think people will find hopefully supportive, and others will find it unnerving, as well as the comments that follow, from everybody that Alan just mentioned. So
you guys are going to love it. This is the beginning of the end of student loans. I kid you not.
Alan, that I'm glad you said that, because personally, the reason why I've been doing this is I have 2 kids who are about to, graduate from high school in the next 2 years, and then go off to college. And I do not want to be signing on predatory lending loans. Everything that I know now, I will do everything I can to help this movement move forward.
Yeah, people don't realize we need them fighting with us. We're not just fighting for ourselves, people. We're fighting for the future of this country. We're fighting for tens or hundreds of millions of people who are going to follow in our footsteps and don't deserve to be conquered and enslaved, like what is attempted to be done to us through this freaking big government lending monstrosity.
So, Alan, earlier today, I received an email from Maja Steele, who writes, I'm a 55-year-old divorced female with $367,000 worth of debt to federal loan servicing. I am in the PSLF program and work for the state of Texas, HHS, and bring home $2,700 a month. Basically, she goes on to say how obviously it's an impossible situation. She does not want to be carrying this over her head until she dies, but she just doesn't know how she's going to get out. She's going to, I think, really appreciate the fact that we show a clip tomorrow just about someone who's very similar. So here are some of my goals for tomorrow, and that is for borrowers to, it's really important for them to know that they are not alone. And we need to help all borrowers avoid staying in isolation about this problem.
Oh, absolutely, Mike. Not by the end of this pandemic, probably 85 or 90% of all student loan borrowers will be hopelessly underwater on their student loans. 99% of the people in public service loan forgiveness are finding out the hard way that all the years they worked at a nonprofit didn't count. And I'm sure she's no different. There's no reason to suffer in silence and in isolation about this. This
and
is
it's certainly not something that we want people taking their lives or drinking and drugging and making.
No, that's nonsense. That's completely useless. We need them above ground helping us fight. And we've got an army bigger than all the standing armies on earth combined when we actually get ourselves together. We've got nearly 1 million people now. We could have 10 or 15 million people pretty quickly. And let's hope that happens when people step up. And
my next goal, Alan, is to help educate all of us about this corrupt system. And how do we do that? Just as you said, we want to form an army of support, organize, strategize, and then the other piece of that on my end is to complete the documentary.
This film is a linchpin to all of that. So I can only hope that the people that will come to the town hall and check it out and see for themselves. There's a lot of fake nonsense, astroturf, student loan swamp, pardon my French, bullshit out there in the certainly on the internet, but in the real world as well. This film, our effort, our group, our petition, and um, our little group and all of our associates, we are the real deal. We tell the truth. We are ethical. We have nothing but the purest of motivations, and hopefully that will come out and people will start realizing it's not always the slickest, most well polished stuff that is trustworthy. In fact, it's usually the slick, polished stuff that is not trustworthy, certainly in the fight for student loan justice. So, this is where it all starts, and we will get to the promised land.
And one of the ways that I believe we're going to get to the promised land is by completing this documentary and putting together a very effective campaign release around it. And that's where everybody that's going to be tuning in tomorrow, that's where everybody that's going to be tuning in over the next few weeks. It's important that we stay in touch with you. It's important that we get your email. And if you want to stay in touch with us, we want to be in communication with everybody that's going to be watching the program so that we can all move together as one with this movie. Because ultimately, we get it done, and then we set up screenings around the country, and we make sure that we ourselves are being educated, but we're also out effectively reaching out and making sure that others are educated, because that's part of what keeps people in isolation is, as I have interviewed people that you have sent us, Alan, is they have told us that no one has ever cared about their situation. And I don't know what that's like to live your life that way, like this 55-year-old woman or a 69-year-old Linda in South Carolina, or a woman in Chicago who's in her 70s. There's just too many people out there who have carried this for too long. So the first step is for us to make sure that we get this message to them, because everybody together can make a difference.
There's great strength in numbers, folks. And we've been fighting this battle for 15 years, and we've won 100% of all of our fights. The bad guys, our opposition, the lending people, the swamp people, the unelected bureaucrats, lawyers, lobbyists, etc., they run and hide when we come around. They scurry like cockroaches when the lights are turned on. And that's great, but we need more people helping us. And that is just, it's always been true. There's great strength in numbers, and there's no reason to suffer in silence. And this is where it's at. This film, this group, our petition. This is it, guys.
And so, Alan, once we build this army, and we've informed the army, and we go together, we're going to apply pressure on the U.S. Congress like never before. And that's what I believe will put, and why do we feel that way? Because we have people like you mentioned earlier, like Tom Borgers, who is the #1 financial investigator, Wall Street banker, dealt with whistleblower programs, training people, and has interviewed hundreds of student loan borrowers. And and knows that we have the law on our side. So he has a law firm, but he also has other people on his whole staff that are working on this. So he knows how to put the whole, because this is what he's done for decades. He knows how to put, and I don't think the student loan movement has had someone like him on its side, who's putting, you've told me just about how the swamp works. I've learned more from you than from anybody, just how difficult it is. So, and then you've got Anthony Fiorentini in Chicago, and you've got lawyers here and there. Everyone's going to come together and get behind this. And that's where we're going to end predatory lending. We're going to return consumer protections. We're going to lower the cost of college, forgive excessive predatory debt. And as you said, we're not going to take no for an answer, because it's the people who have the power.
Well, Mike, this is now a nationally threatening, catastrophically failed lending system. So really, these loans need to go away. And if we have to, we can get enough people together that we can cancel this entire lending system if we have to by popular unconsent. That may have to happen. The future is not set. We'll see. But what I do know is that getting everybody together, rowing in the same direction, that's where our true strength comes from.
And there's so many things I want to talk about, but I want to save it for tomorrow's live premiere broadcast and let the experts say these things. And Alan, could you and I get together after and just connect with people and invite them to connect with us on Facebook and or Zoom, and do a post-screening discussion?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we can do it right here where we are. We can do this online.